Hi, I'm Joe, Knight ATV Sgroi. This is our Teryx Sure 4 combo, our manual four-wheel drive conversion kit. Inside the box, you will get written instructions, a sticker. This is a parts bag, a thank you from us. This is your shift guide, the light that will come on to display when you're in Diff Lock, speed limit bypass of course, a wire harness, the shift lever, the actuator, and a shift guide bracket. Now let's go and install it. Raise the Teryx up in the air, use jack stands, remove the driver's side tire, and make sure you chock the wheels. Next, open the hood and remove these plastics. Remove the fuse plastic part here, cut the zip tie that's here, the new one will be supplied. Pull these out and then let this hang off to the side for now. Remove the fasteners that hold this whole piece in. There's located here, and then remove the screws that hold this piece from this side. And this can be removed like so. Next, remove the seats, pop the lower part off, and then remove the 4 screws that hold the seat in, and take the seats, both seats, out of your Teryx. Before you remove the center console plastic, I found that it helped a lot to disable the tension on the emergency brake cable. So with the emergency brake all the way in the down off position, you can come back here and see where the cable goes to. You will loosen this wing nut, unscrew it as much as you can. Once you get it far enough loosened, you pull up on this and slide it out, and now there's no tension on the emergency brake. Next, remove the steering wheel. This part just pops out, and then take that nut out, and then the steering wheel will pull off. Take the screws out that hold this bracket on. There's these screws up here that hold this in, and then down below there are fasteners that you need to pop out. Remove all of the ones that hold this piece on. Remove everything that holds this piece on. You're going to want to remove this and this piece also. It's just all held in with those fasteners. And then take the screw out that holds this in place. And then this, once you take the screw out from this side over here, it can be tough, but pull that off. Okay. Next, remove this shift guide with a 10mm. Unscrew these 4 and remove it from your Teryx. Next, we're going to install the lever. Before we do, we need to remove the ball and remove this bracket, which came pre-installed. Now we can slide this lever into place. Take the wires here, hold them down like this, and slide them back in here. Like that. Next, we're going to remove the actuator. The actuator, this is your electronic actuator right here. There's 3 screws that hold it in, so remove them with an 8mm. Now you can follow this wire up and unplug it. You can see here, there's a little tab that you have to pull up on. You pull that out, and your actuators. Next, we're going to install the actuator. First, remove the lid. So now the lid is off. Open up your parts bag. You will need this O-ring. Put this on the back. And these 3 screws are what mount the actuator to the differential. So this actuator was in the 2-wheel drive position, and if you look at your differential, you can see the hole where this hole is oriented, and that needs to line up with the line on your actuator here, because that line on your actuator lines up with this shaft here. This shaft needs to slide into that hole as you put the actuator on. All right, so I'm going to slide these cables over here. Now at this time, I am going to remove these 2 wires, number 3 and number 2. That's your top differential sensor wire and your middle differential sensor wire. That's gonna be addressed later, but it also gives me some more room right now. So I'm going to slide the actuator onto the differential, rotate it a bit until I feel the shaft from this slide into the hole in the differential like I just did there. And now I'm going to put these screws in to mount it. These are the cables coming from the actuator. Pull them up inside the Teryx here. This one with the 90 on it is going to go to the top of your lever, and this one that's straight is going to go to the bottom of your lever. Take the bracket that you removed earlier. This goes on like this. Thread it on right to about there. That's good. It doesn't have to be tight because this cannot spin and this cannot spin, so it is locked in place there. Now, if you shift the lever a little bit, it's tough to see, but put those out of the way so you can see. The lever has a slot on it for one of the screws from this bracket. You saw that when you removed this bracket from the lever. Now that's slid in place there. Now we can put this screw back in and remove this screw and then put the cable in and put this back on. You can see there is 2 locations here to put the ball from the cable, and that is just an adjustment. You start on the further hole, and then if you need to, move to the closer hole if you need more cable when you go to do your adjustment. Next, we will install this bracket. Take the cable here, slide it through this hole, and spin this, thread it on. This slides over this, and then use the 2 screws supplied for the front. And use 2 of your existing screws that you removed earlier for the back. Next, we will put the ball in the clasp here. May need some pliers to grab the ball, pull it out a bit, and then you'll notice there is 2 locations that you can put the ball here, and you could even flip this over the other way for another location. Start with the middle, and then we'll make adjustments later. Next, install this shifter bracket using the 2 screws that came in your parts bag. Put your shifter in the 4-wheel drive position. If you can't move it, like I cannot move it right now, you need to rock your wheel back and forth. What I mean is come over here and rock this back and forth a little bit. That gets the gears inside the differential that were crashing. It gets them to move and shift, and so they slide in and out. So now, when I go to shift, it easily shifts into the 4-wheel drive position. Now we can look at the actuator and make the adjustments that are necessary. You can see the line here looks pretty close to lined up with the 4-wheel drive already. That is exactly what you want. You only want to make adjustments when this is in the 4-wheel drive, when your shifter is in 4-wheel drive. So this is slightly low. So in order to pull this line up, we're going to unscrew this one a little bit. It's difficult to do without blocking the camera. I'm going to slide this rubber cover off of the adjuster, and then I'm going to unscrew this adjuster in the loosening direction so you can see threads there, and that pulls the actuator in that direction, moves it up. Now it's up too far, so I'm going to loosen the other adjuster. It can be difficult to turn. If you can get 2 hands in there, I would block the camera, but if you can get 2 hands in there, one to hold the black part of the cable, stop that from spinning as you rotate this. That makes it a lot easier to do the adjustment. So I'm gonna have to block the camera here. So it can be a little difficult to get in here and adjust these. It helps if you can hold the black part of the cable, which you can't even see right here. It's behind this frame rail, and spin these. You want to get the line here to line up with this line here, and you need to adjust these accordingly in order to get that to line up. So you can see I have it lined up in the 4-wheel drive position now. I'm going to shift the shift lever to 2-wheel drive, and then check and see if it's lined up there, which it is. If it wasn't though, I would go back to 4-wheel drive to make adjustments. Don't make any adjustments in any position other than 4-wheel drive. So there's 4-wheel drive. You can see that's nicely lined up. Now I'm gonna go to Diff Lock. As I'm going to Diff Lock, it gets stuck. And that is because the gears in the differential are not lining up. So I'm just going to rock this back and forth a little bit, and now that allowed the gears to move from crashing so that they can slide. So now I'm going to shift into Diff Lock and check how well that's lined up. And it's dead on. So I'm gonna go back to 4-wheel drive, and that's good. Now, I want to also point out that if your lever is very easy to move and it feels like there's slop in it, you're going to want to adjust both adjusters out, meaning loosen them so you can see more threads, just a little bit so that you feel some resistance on the lever. Once you feel a slight bit of resistance and all of the notches are lined up, you can move these nuts, these locking nuts over and tighten them against the adjusters, and that'll be it. So I just used these 2 wrenches to put the lock nuts on and tighten them down. Next, I'm going to take the lid and put that on. Take the supplied O-ring, push this inside the lid here, like so. Then slide the lid onto the actuator and put the 4 screws back in. Next, we're going to remove your 4-wheel drive selector switch. This is the back of the switch. This is the wires coming out of your switch. You're going to unplug these. You're going to lift up on this tab here and pull on that like that. Get this separated. Now, this switch goes out this way. So there's some little tabs on it that you're going to try to squeeze as you are pushing it, as you're pushing it out of the dash like this, and then it will pull out. Next, we're going to install the Diff Lock light. Now this is actually a button, but it does not do anything anymore. That was from our previous kit, but it's a very nice button, very nice light, I should say, that lights up and illuminates when you're in Diff Lock. Your red Diff Lock light will no longer come on. Just this will come on, and that is your speed limit bypass Diff Lock. Loosen this nut here on the back of this light, slide it back, and slide this washer back. Run the wire through the hole, and then take this washer on the flat parts here, put it a little sideways, and you'll be able to slide that through the hole like that, and then slide the washer back on and thread the nut on. And your light is in place. Next, we will install the wire harness. Take the green and purple wire and thread it through. Here, if you walk over here, thread it through this area here underneath the frame. There's a hole right here. And this goes down to your differential. In this spot also is the wire that was connected to your actuator. Push this in the other direction through that hole. So it's now in your cab. Okay. Now, this wire here, black with a yellow stripe, goes to a ground. Right over here, you have all of your black and yellow wires there, held on with an 8mm. So we're going to mount that there. This 4-pin connector is going to go down to the bottom of your lever. So you're gonna find the little tunnel here that heads down towards your lever. Slide that down. Take the wire that was plugged into your four-wheel drive switch, this connector here, and also push this down. This is going to go to your lever. Then come into the cab. Over here, you see we got these wires down into the cab here, and these plug in to your the bottom of your lever. Plug these in here. This and like this. Okay. Then back over here, you have the wire from your Diff Lock light. Plug that in. The connector that this went to your electronic actuator. Plug that in. Okay, secure the relay and the wire harness and all the wires using cable ties, electrical tape, whatever you need. And that part of the wiring is all done. We'll go down to the differential now and hook up those wires. First, take them, your green and purple wire, and slide them between the cables on your actuator. Take the green wire and connect it to the number 2 wire. This is the wire that was plugged into the center of your differential, the center sensor. Plug this in here, and you can wrap some electrical tape around there if you'd like. Then the green wire will go on the center sensor on your differential, and the purple wire will go on the top. It's gonna be a little difficult to see. I'm gonna actually walk around, so keep videotaping. Walk around over to here, put a little more light on. The green wire here goes to the center sensor, like that. The purple wire goes to the top sensor, like that. And the number 3 wire, this is no longer used. So some electrical tape and a zip tie, and tie these up out of the way, secure them so that they're not rattling around and touching anything. Okay, now all the wiring's done, everything is installed. So we're gonna test it. I'm gonna put the key in, turn it to the on position. It's in 4-wheel drive, and you can see here it shows 4-wheel drive. That's blinking because it's not starting. It's not started right now. So shift to 2-wheel drive, shows 2-wheel drive. Shift to 4-wheel drive, shows 4-wheel drive. Shift to Diff Lock, and my lever won't go to Diff Lock. That is simply because the gears and the differential are not lined up. So I'm just going to rock the wheels a little bit. And that's just how the differential is designed from Kawasaki. And that allows me. So you're in 2-wheel drive now, and the display shows 2-wheel drive. Shift to 4-wheel drive, and the display shows 4-wheel drive. Shift to Diff Lock, and this light comes on. That shows you that you're in Diff Lock and you have no speed limiter. This light does not come on anymore, but you know you're in Diff Lock because this light is on. And as I said, this button doesn't do anything. That was from a previous version, but it looks so nice, we kept it. That's it, everything is done. So now we're gonna put the plastics back on. Before we put the plastics back on, I wanna mention that if you notice your shifter isn't going all the way into high or neutral here, you have an adjustment here on this cable. Because this has moved a little bit, you may need to make an adjustment on this cable here. Back on. I'm going to remove this piece, put the plastic back on here, the center console, and then reattach this. When you install your center console, you get it back on here, this plastic piece here. It should slide over the plastic shift guide, actually pop down on it so it's almost flush, and then put the metal shift guide on top. All right, there you have it. Let's take it for a test drive.